Can you believe I'm already in my April favorites video? April. A year ago this month, like April 2015, is actually when I first started making favorites videos. So this is my 1 year anniversary of favorites videos, and also my anniversary of, like, I don't know, I consider my favorites videos the beginning of me being like a real YouTuber. Like last March, I guess, before I started my April favorites videos, I was doing a lot of like, these are some makeup palettes that I have that I like and that sort of thing. I hadn't really delved into this kind of aspect of it, and it's just really cool to me now to be like, oh, it's been a whole year. I still don't really consider myself a beauty vlogger, though, you know what I mean? Because I do so many other things too. Like I play through the Michonne video game, and when the Michonne game is done, I'll play through Franbo. That's what I'm planning on playing next. And you know what I mean? I talk about Sailor Moon, and sometimes we talk about disability, although I don't do that as much anymore because I just don't know what to talk about. If you have any ideas, let me know. Yeah, so I don't really consider myself like a beauty vlogger, but these videos are always fun because I always get to put on my beauty vlogger pants and do it. If you saw my March favorites video, I kind of said that I didn't think April was going to be a very busy month for me, and it really was not, which is nice. I mean, it's kind of nice to have a calm before the storm. April, I didn't really do a lot extracurricularly. I just went to work and made a lot of YouTube videos and that sort of thing. I watched a lot more of the X-Files in April. I'm part of the way through season 5 now, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't remember, like, the last time I watched the show that I was, like, as into as I am the X-Files. I really liked watching Buffy. I really liked watching Angel. I really liked watching Dexter. Those are all amazing shows, and I would consider them some of my favorite shows, easy peasy. But something about the X-Files, I just love it. I think it's because there's no character in the X-Files that I don't love. You know what I mean? I am, like, emotionally invested in the Smoking Man. I'm emotionally invested in Skinner. Obviously, Mulder and Scully. Like, I love every character in the X-Files. Even Krychek. Like, I love watching him because he just, I don't know. That's something about it is so good to me. I just love it, and I probably couldn't pick a favorite character. If I had to pick a favorite character, it would probably be Skinner, but I love all of it so much. I'm so enjoying watching The X-Files. The Walking Dead also wrapped up in April, which is kind of nice, because I used to have to download it. Like, I would buy it off of iTunes and then watch it Monday morning before I would go to work, and now it's nice to have that hour to an hour and a half back. But I did enjoy watching The Walking Dead. A lot of people were really upset by how that season ended, but for me personally, what were you expecting? Like, The Walking Dead, every time they ever built up a big ending to something, they do it like that. They do a cliffhanger. Obviously, that was how it was going to happen. They weren't going to show us who died in the last 2 seconds of the episode. And I think I read an interview with Greg Nicotero where, at the end of that season, the cast didn't even know who had been hit yet. Like, it wasn't until they started shooting this next season that hasn't aired yet that anybody knew. So it's like, I'm so enjoying watching all these people like, if you slow down the audio, you can hear Maggie yell for Glenn. It's like, okay, maybe she does, but it doesn't mean it is Glenn, because, like, they haven't shot that yet. Most of the actors had no idea at the time. Like, I don't know. I enjoy watching other people get really upset about that when it was kind of, I thought it was obvious that that's how it was going to happen. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is Negan. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I've never seen him in something and I didn't like him. So when he was cast as Negan, I was so excited. And if you watch, there was like a Supernatural convention and he talked about being cast as Negan, and he was like really, really excited about it. And that makes me love it even more. And I'm really excited for next season, I think, just for more of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. He's just so talented. April was also the Sephora Spring VIB sale, and I knew about this. Like, I had been saving money, but then in my March favorites video, I just spaced. But no, going into this, that I knew about it beforehand, and I had saved a little bit of money for it. However, I did go over budget, because something I mentioned in this video, I had intended to buy, but then when the sale came around, it was sold out online, so I was like, oh, whatever, and I put other things in my cart to take up the amount of money it was, because it is kind of expensive. And then Emily and I actually went to Sephora, and they had it in stock there, and she makeup enabled me for once. Usually with everyone else, I'm the makeup enabler. I'm like, do it, buy it. But this time she makeup enabled me, and I'm not looking back. I have no regrets. I'm in love with it. So let's get into the things from April that I loved. And so I mentioned briefly in my March favorites video about the Freeman's Feeling Beautiful masks, and I had picked up that day the Mint and Lemon Clay mask, and it's for acne, like to control breakouts and that sort of thing, and I hadn't used it yet because I had bought it that day, and I just wanted to let you know that I really do like this mask. If you are oily skinned, definitely check this mask out. You will love it, and it's only $5, and I bought it at Walmart. But something that I really like to use this mask for is actually a spot treatment. I was getting one of those really big, gross, like, hormonal zits. I get them around my mouth. It's about at the halfway stage when I remembered I had this, like, kind of like an iceberg. Like, you could see it a little bit up top, but I knew there was, like, all this gunk underneath, and I used this mask, and this mask, like, saved me. It stopped that zit dead in its tracks, and it never came out to be this huge, like, tumor extra limb like I usually get whenever I get those kinds of zits. So I really, really like this mask. I use it a lot for that, and then sometimes if I'm just feeling gross that day, I'll use this mask, and it really feels like it cleans everything out. So I definitely recommend this mask, as well as the other Freeman Feeling Beautiful masks that I mentioned. I love doing masks, and the fact that these masks are so inexpensive and they're good for you and they work really well, I'm just in love with them. Definitely recommend. Something else that was inexpensive that I picked up in April to try out was, you know that I usually use the e.l.f. Daily Brush Cleaner. Now, I've been needing more for a while. There's like a little tiny bit left in this bottle, and I don't want to put it in e.l.f. order just to get more brush cleaner, and they've been out of it at the store. So finally, one day, I bit the bullet and I bought this Joe Fresh brush cleaner. This was more expensive. This was $6, and this is usually $4. But you do get 125 milliliters of product in this, and in this one, you only get 60 milliliters. So really, really, this is a better value, and I actually think I maybe like this brush cleaner more. I do still like the e.l.f. one, don't get me wrong, but I find that bottle to bottle, it's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes I'll use it, and it'll leave my brushes feeling like kind of greasy almost, like they almost feel like they have like a little film on them. I don't know what that's about. A little bit oily, and so I really feel like I have to wipe them off after. Whereas this doesn't do that, and this kind of has an alcohol-y smell. So if you don't like an alcohol smell, like, you won't like this, but it just makes me feel like my brushes are extra clean. You know what I mean? The fact that they smell clean makes them feel clean, and it doesn't leave that little bit of a film behind. So if you're in the market for a brush cleaner and you're having a hard time getting your hands on the e.l.f. one because it is so popular, because it's so inexpensive, the Joe Fresh one is really nice. A couple other little drugstore things to talk about. I would be lying to myself if I didn't mention the NYX Tinted Brow Mascara. I do have a review on it. Is it up yet, or is it not up yet? I don't remember. But it is coming, and I bought it in that drugstore haul that I did, and then I talked about how much I loved it a little bit in the next one. But it is the only thing that I'm wearing on my eyebrows today, and it is the only thing that I wear on my eyebrows ever anymore. It is such a good product, and I really like it. So if you're in the market for a new brow jelly mascara type thing, I definitely recommend checking this out. And the product isn't super pigmented, so I really feel like if I want to fill in like a gap in my eyebrow or something, I can use the end of the wand and kind of fill it in that way without feeling like I've now put this big dark spot on my face, and it's weird. Another e.l.f. thing. Now, I have gone without this e.l.f. Under eye concealer and highlighter for a while because, like I said, I didn't want to put in an e.l.f. order just to get brush cleaner, and this was out of stock for a while. I think it is back in stock now, but still, like, I don't know. I always feel like when I do an e.l.f. order, I spend a ton of money. I get a huge box, mind you, but I spend a ton of money, so I've been kind of, like, putting it off. But one day, when Emily and I went to Sephora, actually, we went to Old Navy, and they had this there. I didn't realize that Old Navy sells e.l.f. makeup now, but okay, I'm down. They had this there, and I was like, oh, I missed that concealer. It was so good. So I bought it, and I forgot how much I love this concealer. I wear this concealer under my eyes every day now. Sometimes I'll wear my MAC corrector underneath it, and sometimes I'll use the Makeup Forever Ultra HD corrector underneath it. Doesn't really matter which one I use, I find, but this, it's just so good. It's very, very, like, brightening. It has a decent amount of coverage. I find that it doesn't really crease, and it doesn't get that, like, makeup-y, gross look that I feel like concealers can often get. My under eyes are, like, super wrinkly, as you know. So I always have a hard time with under eye concealers, and this one is just so, like, liquidy that it doesn't do that, but it's still super pigmented and really, like, brightening. I just love this. This is probably my favorite under eye concealer of all time, I would say. Of all the under eye concealers I've ever tried, this is my favorite one. And the last sort of drugstore item that I want to talk about is this Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer Mist. This primer is something that I just kind of bought because it was like, oh, a drugstore hydrating primer. I'll try it. I'm down. I'll try anything. You know what I mean? And I am actually surprised by how much I like this primer. I do have a review video coming up on this as well because I do like it that much. The only thing I don't like about it is the smell. It does smell like, I described it in that video like this too, but it smells kind of sweaty. Like, I put it on, and before I have foundation on, I feel like, ugh, like I just want to take it off. But once you put foundation on, it all kind of soaks together, and then you don't feel that way anymore. So it doesn't say it, I promise. With this primer, I find that other foundations that I have been wearing that maybe felt a little bit too dry on my skin, like my Sephora Collection one, or like the L'Oreal Infallible foundation, I was having a hard time wearing those because my skin is drier, and those are matte finish foundations, but I wear them no problem if I have this primer on underneath. It is a spray, which I actually find that I prefer for primers. It's just easier, you know what I mean? I wonder how evenly it's getting my whole face, but I haven't had a problem yet. I'm very, very surprised by how much I like this, and it's hard candy, so it's cruelty-free. I would be lying if I didn't mention this brush. This brush was in my, which Ipsy bag was it? Was it March Ipsy bag? or was it February Ipsy bag? It was in one of them, but I remember specifically it came from an Ipsy bag because my close-up shot in that video for it was out of focus. But it is a little brush by Me, and I use this brush every day. I use it today. Something about how pinched the ferrule is and how fluffy it is, I just love, like, I can use it for, like, a really light contour if I want to, and then it's fluffy enough that I feel like if I hold it really at the base, I can, like, use it for blush, and then it's still skinny enough that if I wanted to use it for highlighter, I could. This is such a good, like, multi-purpose brush. I find myself, no matter how many brushes I own, I find myself reaching for this brush every day, multiple times. I just really like it. I have no idea how expensive it is. I will put a little bubble on the screen somewhere here to tell you how expensive it is and where you can get it. But this is a really great brush. I'm a fan. Now, jog my memory, because I looked through a couple of my old favorites videos and I couldn't find a video where I had mentioned this liquid lipstick before. And if I have mentioned it before, I apologize, but it is definitely worth mentioning again because they just launched a whole bunch of new colors, and I really love it. This is the Ciate London Liquid Velvet Lipstick. The first one that I bought was in the shade Smitten. I think at the time it was like described on the website as like a nudie pink, but it's actually a very, very like bright but dusty kind of shade of pink. This shade, Smitten, and Kat Von D Double Dare, which is actually what I am wearing today, these are my like go-to lipstick shades. I'm never like, oh no, what lip color do I wear? I will grab for one of these always because I know I can trust them. This lipstick is one of the few that I find that goes on and it looks really matte. Actually, it does, and it still doesn't really super dry out my lips. It can be a little bit drying, but as long as you put on a lip balm or something a little bit before you've put this on and you give it in a minute to soak in, this dries down matte and it looks really nice, and I find it just very easy to wear. And so I would definitely be interested in trying out more of these shades, especially the ones that just launched. And then in my little Sephora VAB Rouge splurge thing, I bought it in the shade Envy, which is this like bluey color. I find that weird. Wouldn't you think Envy would be green? I don't know, but it's this like tealy blue color, and this is the lipstick that I'm actually wearing in my April Ipsy video. If you saw that one, you're like, what lip color is she wearing? It is this one, and I really like it, and it wears the same as this. I want more of them. And with the Sephora VIB sale, I knew I wanted to finally bite the bullet and buy a Becca highlighter, and so the only one that I really thought would look good on me is Pearl. So I did do it. I bought Pearl, and I really do like it. If you saw my Aoba inspired tutorial last week, you saw that I was using MAC White Frost as a highlighter, and to be honest, that is almost the same thing as this. That is, if that one is level 7, this one is level 10, but they are the same color. It's just a lot of white icy shine, which is great for someone who is as pasty as I am. I'm just really impressed by this highlighter, but that being said, I don't think I would buy any more Becca highlighters just because they can be very glittery. You know what I mean? I'm in the highlighter game for more of a sheen and not so much for a super sparkle. If I'm gonna sparkle, I want it to be like on my like eyes somewhere, my eyeshadow or my eyeliner, somewhere around there, not really on my cheeks where I can, you know, have acne or I can be wrinkly, that sort of thing. I don't want to exaggerate that in that way. So I really do like Pearl. I have no regrets about buying Pearl. Not a single one. But I don't really know how interested in the rest of the Becca highlighters I would be. Which I know I'm like the only person on the whole planet to say that. But I feel like Pearl is it for me. I'd be very interested in trying other Becca products though. My camera just died on me mid-sentence. It is a good thing I have 2 batteries, but I had to take the camera down and replace the batteries. So if the shot is different at all, that is why, because I had to take it down to reset it. But anyway, I was talking about the Becca highlighter in Pearl, and basically just that. I love it, but I'm not interested in any of the other Becca highlighters. At least not now. At least not at this stage of my life with, you know, the life that I lead. I only have one product left to talk about, and this product is the one that I bought in store with Emily, and it's the one that put me over budget, but it's 100% worth it. Because from the moment it launched, I wanted it. And I was like, but maybe it'll be like one of these like fleeting things. Like I'll see it and be like, oh, it's pretty and I want it. But then after I think about it, I'm like, but I don't need it, so I'm not going to get it. If you watch a lot of YouTube, there's this drag queen, and her name is Kimberly Clark. And she does a lot of anti-hauls, and I always imagine her, whenever I'm looking at like a new product, I can hear her in my head going, you don't need it. I would definitely, like, maybe that's how I'll feel about this palette eventually, because this is actually a palette that she said that, you know, you don't need. But the more I thought about it and the more I looked at it, I do need it. As much as anyone can need a makeup product, I do need it. Because you know what? I don't have anything else like this in my collection. And I'm talking about the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons. palette. I want to explain to you why I love this palette so much. I'm going to give it its own review video as well. I know that I'm like the last one to that party, but I am going to give it its own video so that I can talk about, again, why I love it so much, why it was important to me to get it, and then in that video I want to go through shade by shade and like swatch it like in real time and talk about how it, like the color payoff and that sort of thing of each shade, so that if you were by any chance interested in buying this palette but were kind of deterred by the cost, because it is an expensive palette, this is a $60 Canadian palette, so I want you to have all the information you can before you make an investment like this. So I plan on doing that video. But here's the thing about this palette. This palette has a lot of browns, but when I was looking at my collection, realistically, I think I have a lot of browns, but I really don't. I keep buying things like my big Crown Brush multicolored palette and my Naked 3 palette. That's things that are less conventional, because that's what I want. I want a very diverse collection, but you need good versions of the basics, I think, and that's what this is. This is a lot of good versions of the basics. A lot of the colors in this Bonbons palette as well lean cool, whereas the first two chocolate bar palettes, the chocolate bar and the semi-sweet, they lean warm. There are definitely some cool tone shades in there, but there's a lot of very like warm orangey browns in there, and I don't like those on me. I wear them sometimes, but they're not my favorite. I'm a very cool tone kind of girl, so when I look at this palette, I'm like, wow, I will wear and would wear every single shade in this palette. And let me tell you, every day since I've got this palette, I have used it. And on the one day I didn't and I used something else, I was like sad. I was like, but I missed the Bonbons palette. I want to use the Bonbons palette. And I felt all day like my makeup didn't look as good as it could have looked because I could have used the Bonbons palette. And I am so extra usually when I use this palette. Like, I will wear 8 to 9 shades of eyeshadow just so I'm using this palette longer and I keep going for it. Everybody on YouTube makes it sound like this palette smells like chocolate. Like, you open it and it's like a blinding smell. But it really doesn't. Like, I feel like I have to really huff for the chocolate smell. It's very subtle. So if you were by any chance worried about how weird it might be to have chocolate smell on your eyes, which is something I thought about too. I was like, I love the idea of makeup that smells like chocolate, but that's weird. It's really not that intense, at least not with this palette. And I don't know, I look at this palette and I'm like, I am in love with this. I can't believe that I waited so long to buy it, but I'm happy I did because I was sure that it was something that I was going to use, and I am in love with it. This palette is actually what I used on my eyes today. It was kind of like, I looked at the palette and I was like, this is the kind of look I want to create today, and I did shoot this, so this is going to be a tutorial on my channel at some point. I give it a couple of weeks so that it's spaced away from the tutorial I did last week, because I'm not, like I said, I don't consider myself a beauty vlogger, so I want, if I'm going to do tutorials, I want them to be spaced, but I definitely did shoot this look, and it's no eyeliner, so for those of you that are struggling with wing eyeliner or don't like wearing eyeliner, this is definitely a look for you. And this is actually, I'm only wearing, 3 or 4 shades from this palette today. So I went easy for you. And they're very dupable shades if you don't want to buy this palette, but you want this kind of eye look. So I really like this look. I've liked every look I've created with this palette. I am in love with this palette. I referred to it as my child the other day, my second born. My cat Lena is my firstborn, and this is my second born. And that is everything that I wanted to talk about product-wise for the month of April. Now, if we're looking at May, May is my crazy month. If I look at the whole year, May is my crazy fun month. I'm going to Gem Beauty. Now, I just figured out yesterday that I am going to be able to go both days. I was really upset because I was like going all the way to Toronto and all the way back. 2 days in a row is really hard. It's also expensive, and public transit on Sundays is not always the most reliable. So I was like kind of stressed about it. And then Katie, Katie, I love her to death. She was like, why don't you just sleep over? Because she kind of lives at like a halfway point. And I was like, I love you so much. So I am going to be able to go to Gem Beauty both days. I kind of don't know how I want to do that. Like, do you want me to do a haul video when I get back? Because I know we get like goodie bags. So do you want me to go through the goodie bags and tell you what I got, and then also kind of tell you like about the days and the experiences and what kind of happened? Do kind of like, I got home, I sit down, I do a vlog about the day, and I show you what I got, and then maybe what I bought, if that's how it works. I don't even know how Gem Beauty works. Like, do you buy things? Is it like workshops? Like, I have no idea. But I think I'm gonna do that. Are you okay with that? And then just 2 weeks after that is Anime North, which is like the big convention, and Katie and I go and we stay. And it's just, that one's always so much fun. And a whole bunch of the 90s Sailor Moon voice actors are going this year too. So that'll be just so much fun. I'm just overall really looking forward to both of those big events that I have in May. And then before I know it, May will be over and I'll be back here doing another favorites video. If you have any ideas or requests for future videos, please let me know because I would love to make them for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!